Good morning, Abundant Life. This is Pastor Chris, and today we're going to continue on with our study of John chapter 11, verses 46 down to 57. We left off the Pharisees and all the other religious leaders are having a meeting in response to Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, stands up and says, "It's better if one man die for the whole nation." John said he didn't say that on his own, that was a prophecy from God. Why was God giving prophecies to somebody like Caiaphas, who was opposing his son? And what exactly did this prophecy mean? So, what was Caiaphas doing? Because it sounds like he was disagreeing with the other guys and then suggesting the very thing that they had just brought up, that we should have Jesus killed. I remember years ago, I was out to lunch with, and out to lunch is an appropriate phrase in this story. I was having lunch with my senior pastor at the time. I was a youth pastor. Senior pastor's named Mike. He's still named Mike. And I know this is hard to believe in a preacher, but Mike liked to talk. And he was talking about something, and I think I was thinking about my French fries. I wasn't paying the least bit of attention. And I realized I had no idea what he was talking about when he said, "So do you think you can get that done?" And in a panic, I said, "Yeah, no problem." To this day, I have no idea what it was he had. And he never asked me again. I must have accidentally done it because it never came up again. See, the point was I wasn't paying any attention. So maybe Caiaphas just hadn't been paying attention to what the other guys were saying. So he just repeats their idea. That happens. Yeah, I know that personally. But come on, if that's all it was, John wasn't going to mention something like that. Or maybe Caiaphas was one of those guys that it always has to be his idea. Oh, no, no, that's not what we'll do. Let's do this, and says exactly the same thing. But if that was the case, why would John call that a prophecy? And what exactly does it mean? And here's another thing that just doesn't sit right about this passage. This meeting was of religious leaders who were trying to kill the Son of God because they didn't like the fact that he was more popular than they were. And God uses one of them to utter a prophecy. Why would God do that? What was really going on here? Because this is a very confusing meeting. What was Caiaphas really saying? How was it a prophecy if he didn't realize it was a prophecy? And what did all this mean? And what are we supposed to learn from it? All right. If we can figure out what Caiaphas's prophecy was about, it's going to explain all this. And the key to understanding the prophecy is knowing the difference between the short term and the long term. Let's start off by recounting what we do know. We know that Caiaphas wanted to kill Jesus. And we know that when he said what he did, it was after that proposal had already been discussed. So if he agreed with them, well, it seems odd that he would start out by saying, "You guys know nothing." But what if "you guys know nothing" wasn't directed at the people who suggested killing Jesus? You know who he was probably talking to? In any meeting, there's always one or two people that just have a bit of a problem with the idea. I think there were probably a couple guys at this meeting who were reluctant about the idea of killing Jesus. So it sounds like some of them aren't sold on this idea of murdering the Messiah. So what Caiaphas meant was, "I can't believe you'd hesitate on this. Guys, we simply have to kill Jesus. We have no choice. We could lose everything." And there's two ironic things here that happened as a result of this meeting, and it was as a result of this idea. First, they did kill Jesus, and 40 years later, Rome still wiped him out. Fat lot of good their plan did. But here's the second ironic thing. Caiaphas was right. His prophecy did come true. Hang on, my wife's trying to call me. His prophecy did come true. It was better for one guy to die than for all of us. Now, he meant it politically, but that's exactly what happened with Jesus. Only he didn't die to keep Rome at bay. He died to take away our sins. so we wouldn't have to die for our sins. Caiaphas didn't realize it, but what he said could only be read with that idea, the atonement, in mind. Now, here's our real question. Why would you oppose Jesus if you knew that he could raise somebody from the dead? Why make a guy like that your enemy? And the answer to that is simple. Remember, we talked about short term versus long term thinking. These guys were heavily involved in short term thinking. They said they were worried Rome would wipe them out. It happened anyways. They didn't want to lose their comfort. They didn't want to lose their power, their prestige, their authority over the people. So even if they knew Jesus was from God, come on, of course they knew that. Look at all the miracles he did. This guy walked on water. This guy just raised Lazarus from the dead. They still made the decision to be on the side that might let them hopefully hang on to their positions, even if it means having to oppose the Son of God. Even if he is God's son, hey, we're not going to have to face him for a long time. That's short term thinking. You remember the TV show Taxi? Remember Andy Kaufman's character, Latka, a little guy from some foreign country no one ever heard of? Latka once had enough cash to live for a while. He could live for 7 or 8 months on the amount of money he had, or he could rent a luxury apartment for 1 month, and that's what he did. He lived in luxury for 1 month. And when people pointed out to him, this is not a good idea, he said he'd worry about that at the end of the month. My wife's trying to get a hold of me. I better go. We'll continue next time. Sorry, hon, I was doing my video.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. I thought maybe you're in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So I went to get my blood work done and got in there, and they didn't have my blood work on file. The only one that was on file was the one I asked for on Friday to my doctor's office. Somehow didn't send my blood work request.
What is with these guys?
I don't know. I don't know. The gal was really nice. She says, I'm so sorry. She says, there's just the only thing here is the one. I said, yeah, that's the one I asked him to add on Friday.
You should charge your doctor a fee for this.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, but it's right next door to Briar Patch, and I needed to get some more flaky coconut for our granola anyway. I think I'm gonna walk up here. It's kind of early.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to go in tomorrow then to get your blood work?
I don't know when. I've got to find an appointment at work. I have no idea.
Monday, all right. day.